You know that feeling you get when you need to have a tough conversation with a parent, deliver critical feedback to a staff member, or unite a divided team? That knot in your stomach that says, I'm a great educator, but am I communicating this the right way? I've been there. Year after year, I'd write the same goal in different words. Connection, crucial conversations, conflict resolution, how to deal with difficult people. I'm Crystal Atkinson, and after more than 20 years teaching and leading in public education, I've cracked the code on the communication skills that matter most, and I'm sharing them all with you. Whether you're dealing with resistant staff, anxious parents, or complex community dynamics, this podcast will give you the strategies and confidence to handle it all. Together, we'll explore how to connect with people who challenge you most, inspire your team to do their best work, and navigate conflict without losing sleep. Because here's what I've learned. Leadership isn't just about vision and strategy. It's about the conversations that happen every single day. And those conversations, they can be taught, practiced, and mastered. Welcome to Vibrant Leadership for Educational Leaders. Let's transform the way you communicate. Welcome back, my vibrant leader friends. I can't even tell you how excited I am about today's episode. Today's episode is one that is near and dear to my heart because I love teachers. I love school leaders. I love public education. And at the end of the day, I have a deep understanding that when we don't take care of ourselves, when we feel pulled in too many different directions, we burn out, we check out, we move on, and we're not able to be an effective leader. So today's episode is the Be in Vibrant. It is all about balance. And I'm just going to start this by calling it what it is. The whole concept of balance is a lie. At least the way society has made us think about balance in the past, the way mom guilt often as women is associated with balance, it often leaves us feeling less than. It leaves us feeling depleted, like we're not good enough, we're not going to be able to be successful or effective at our position. So today, we're going to unpack that a whole lot. There are so many parts to this. I know I'm not going to get through everything. I've got all of these like pie in the sky ideas that I want to share with you, and I've whittled them down. So hopefully everybody listening will have something that will resonate with you. If you haven't already, be sure to follow this show, share it with a friend, and follow me wherever you're social. I want to know which parts specifically resonate with you, which parts you struggle with, and where you'd like some more information. I do have lined up a couple of people who are going to come on to the show, first time ever guests who are going to talk about balance. But first, why does it matter? Why does balance matter? It may seem a little bit cliche or trendy, but here's the truth. The truth is, burned out adults, they can survive the day. That's not a problem. But balanced adults, they're going to build community. They are going to make things happen. So at any point during this episode, you may feel just a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm going to invite you to get curious, as I always do. That is part of leadership, is leaning into that curiosity and thinking, that doesn't quite land for me. I wonder why. I wonder if there's something that I'm doing that might be at conflict with this. So I invite you to get curious, ask yourself some questions, be honest with yourself. Rather than saying, oh no, I'm balanced, I've got all the things, dig in. What areas do you feel balanced in? What areas don't you feel balanced in? We will not talk about all components of balance, but we are going to talk about some of the heavy hitters. When you are a teacher, on day one of the first lessons we learn is that there are competing priorities. You enter into the classroom, you've got your perfectly crafted lesson plan, unit plan, year plan. You are eager, you're going to change lives and start the day. And then you have one person enter the room and another person enter the room. And then a kid will randomly blurt out something that doesn't seem to make sense. And then you have some administrators asking for one thing. You'll have school specialists adding for another. Speech will say you need to focus on this. OT will say you need to focus on that. PT will say you need to focus on this. Is, the world of education is acronyms. And so we get pulled in different directions. And then as we continue on and get more specialized positions in education, our amount of paperwork that we are required to complete starts to conflict with some of our priorities. And then we have budgets that seem to get tighter and tighter and tighter. And maybe it's not even that your budget has changed, but the number of complexities in your building has increased. And you're left thinking, how do I balance this all? How do I make everybody happy? Which leaves us more often than it should with a feeling of never being good enough, never being able to do enough. Now, I don't know what decade you were born in. I don't know when you were a kid, but I was a kid of the 80s. And let me tell you a little bit about being a kid in the 80s. On every single playground across North America, I'm in Alberta, Canada, there was this thing called a teeter-totter. Okay, if you remember teeter-totter, let me know, hashtag teeter-totter, like that you're in on this. This like crazy contraption, a metal bar that was perfectly balanced on a little hinge point right in the center. And then child A would sit on one side of the metal bar, child B on the other part. Not always children, of course, adults did this as well. But we would be on either sides of this metal bar, and the heavier one would go to the bottom, the lighter kid would go to the top, or you'd, pair up a couple of little kids with the big kid and you would go back and forth. And the whole idea of being on a teeter-totter taught my generation that balance meant equal. You needed to have the same amount on both sides. You couldn't just look at one thing and not another. And so this whole cultural belief around balance meant equal time, equal energy. And where did that leave us? Where did it leave us? Feeling guilty, feeling deprived, feeling like we were never going to be able to measure up to this invisible bar that our profession brings to us, our different hats we wear in life bring us. And it just isn't realistic. That guilt comes from a completely unreliable source because life is not a teeter-totter and equal does not exist. If you are a full-time working adult in North America, you likely work anywhere from 32 to 44 hours a week. When I searched this up, it really depended what site I was on. So if you spend, say, 40 hours a week at a job, do you then have 40 hours a week with each child individually, one-to-one time? Because we know one-to-one time is important. Do you then have 40 hours for your life partner? 40 hours to spend with your friends, 40 hours taking care of your physical health, considering your financial health, your spiritual health? Of course not. Of course not. And when we enter into this arrangement of looking at equal, of looking at balance, no wonder we have a generation of people thinking, I'm not good enough. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'll never be able to measure up to whatever this standard is, because it's not possible. It's not possible to be equal all the time. So I'm going to invite you, my friend. I'm going to invite you to toss out the notion that life is like a teeter-totter and we need to have equal. So if balance isn't equal, what is it? I'm going to give you two different frames that I use personally that has helped me as a full-time working professional mom, currently work as an instructional coach, middle-level leadership in my school division. I was a full-time vice principal in 2 different schools. I'm married, I have friends, I've got commitments, I have family, all of the things. The first thing I needed to realize is that balance is that emotional capacity to hold 2 truths at the same time. Now, what does that mean? What does it mean to hold two truths at the same time? I'm going to give you an example. I don't know what the system is working like where you live, but here in Alberta, there's been a little bit of tension. There's been a little bit of tension between Teachers of Alberta and the powers that be, that make our decisions, that fund us. And it has become really easy to get caught up in the narrative of negative, of all of the problems we face as a profession. It's really easy to get caught up in that. And when I shifted away from thinking I can only be frustrated with the policymakers, to accepting that I still love my job. I still loved when I was off in October because we were all on strike and I got to get back into the junior high school where I was last a vice principal at. I still coach girls volleyball there. I walked into that gym and I was so excited to see those kids. I was so excited to hear about what they were doing, how their month was without us, all of the things. And I realize in that moment that I can both absolutely love my job, and be fully present when I'm there, and be super frustrated with some of the limitations of my system, of my government, of all the things. I can do both, and that is a sign of emotional maturity. I can be both a committed leader and not available 24/7. My phone goes on do not disturb at 9 p.m. Unless you are one of my daughters or my husband, my phone is not going to make a noise for you. I have 0 notifications from my apps. I don't get an email alert. I don't get a Facebook alert. I don't get alerts on my phone ever 24 hours a day, because when I want to check my email, I will check my email. Okay? I am not available 24/7, but I'm a really effective leader because I'm not distracted all of the time. So I'm committed, and I have boundaries. I care deeply about every single teacher and administrator and support staff that I have the privilege of working with each and every day of my career. Love them deeply, care about them. I want them to stay in this beautiful profession that I love so deeply. And I don't carry everything. I realize there are some things in life that are mine to carry, and there are other things that are not mine to carry. What I can do is walk alongside you while you carry your heavy thing, because I've got my own load. I can't carry my children's loads and my husband's loads and the staff whom I work with load. I care deeply, but I don't carry everything. Emotional maturity. It is so important, but wow, what a mind shift, because as educators, we have all of these narratives, all of these stories we tell ourselves about good leaders go the extra mile. I even have it was so funny when I went to record this. I have a bookmark with me that says, Teachers change lives because they care. That is the narrative. That is the story that is all around us. And then as we enter into leadership roles, we think that strong leaders have to have it all together. They have to have all of the answers. And we just don't. We are responsible to the work, but we're not responsible for everything that occurs in our buildings. And there's a fine line there. That was my truth number 1. Okay, truth number 2. Balance is being where your feet are. I've talked about this a lot. You've probably heard me say this before. Balance is not about equal, but when you show up, how do you show up? So I have always worked full-time right from my daughters were 9 months old. They're both December babies. So I went back to work in September. That's what you did over 20 years ago. But when I showed up, when I picked them up, I left my work in my marking bag. I left the responsibilities so that they didn't have to take the back burner. And I sat with them. I read with them. I played with them. I'd brush their hair. I would cook with them, right? I was fully present. I let them know that they were valuable. They were my priority in those moments. And then when I took formal leadership roles in schools, the first thing I noticed was it's really easy to get distracted. It's really easy when a phone is vibrating and somebody's texting you, somebody's calling down to the office for you, police are showing up, social services are showing up, all of the things. I learned really quickly that no. If my staff are going to know with certainty that I care about them, all of that needs to be put away. And not like upside down, but I mean away. When they can't see your phone, when they can't see your device, they connect more with you. Interesting experiment I did with my husband. I had my phone. In the evenings, we're often together in the living room. I had my phone just like upside down so that you couldn't see the face of it and on silent. But it was between myself and my husband. So there's myself. He usually sits on the other side of the living room across from me on the couch. I have a chair. My phone's upside down. And I asked him something about being on devices. And he's like, oh yeah, you're always on your device. And I kind of chuckled because for that whole week, I had done this like little experiment without him noticing where I did not touch my phone or even look at it, but it was present. Then a couple weeks later, what I had done in the meantime, after we had this like quick, just in passing, curious, hey, what do you think about this? Put my phone entirely away so that he could not see the phone, physically could not see it. And then we were talking about devices and he's like, oh yeah, no, like your phone hasn't even been around. And I'm like, The only thing he noticed was physically seeing the phone. It didn't matter that I was even on it or not. And like, I'm not a researcher. I am a teacher, leader. I am not a researcher. So I would be curious to know some data on that. If you happen to know any, send it my way. I would love to know. But that undivided attention in your meetings, at home, in your classrooms, that presence is what will set you apart as a leader. And honestly, it doesn't matter whether you're a teacher leader in your classroom, if you're a middle level leader, or if you're a school administrator or some other responsibility. Be fully present in your conversations, when you're doing a classroom walkthrough, when you are at home. Put everything aside, okay? You can hold two truths together at once. That was my first tip. Second tip, be where your feet are. Be fully present in that classroom. Now, how does this relate back to school culture? What impact? Why is this so important? Why am I so passionate about this? Years ago, there was a little cartoon, and I had a principal who actually shared this at a staff meeting for us once. And in one side of this cartoon, there was a teacher who was huddled over top of his desk, and there were papers stacked high, and you could see him either marking or planning or something. He had paper and pen out papers everywhere, looked stressed. His brow was furrowed, his face was furrowed. And then in the other side of the cartoon character was a person, the same person, who was like whitewater rafting and huge smile and water splashing everywhere. And then the caption underneath said, "Which teacher do you want for your children?" Mic drop. I had young daughters at the time. They're young adults now. They were young daughters at the time. And I thought, yeah, I want to be that teacher bee. I want to show up, be excited for my students. I want to create a vibrant classroom. And then as I became a school leader, I wanted to create a place where teachers wanted to come, where they could be frustrated with the outside forces and still excited to walk through those doors and meet those kids. Because you know what? We are living in heavy, heavy times. And if we aren't careful, all that negativity can consume us and rob us of our joy. And it's not about being naive. There are real big issues that we need to be advocating for. Absolutely. And we can still show up and create vibrant spaces, because that vibrant school leader, they change the culture. So schools don't become vibrant because of programs. And I talked about programs before when I was looking at insights. They become vibrant because of that emotional capacity of the adults in the building who are able to hold two truths at once, who are able to be fully present where their feet are. These adults, they are less reactive. They are more patient. They are more creative. When you walk into a room where you know a teacher has a life outside of the classroom, it's amazing what they bring in. It's amazing how those conversations will ebb and flow. And they connect with kids. They are more relational. So burned out adults, they're going to survive the day. Sure, they're going to survive the day. But your balanced adult, they're building community. Okay, we have got just so many parts of this balance. I want to bring us back to the first part of the Vibrant Framework episodes, to vision. When we have a clear vision, our decisions become simple, our priorities become a lot easier, and we're able to find balance in how we create a timetable, how we manage our budget, how we manage our staffing, how we manage transportation, whatever may be on your plate. So balance is saying no to something that might be really, really good to protect something that's really, really important, to protect our main goal, our main priority. That also is a part of balance, but it goes back to that vision. Go back a couple of episodes, listen to that vision one, and get curious. Get curious. We want to honor systems. So if you have a really good program in your school, I am not against programs. They've made my life easier as a teacher. Use those programs. Honor them. Find that balance between a research-based program implemented with as much fidelity. Some people don't like that word, but there's a reason why some programs are designed the way they are. Get curious, create trust. That trust-based leadership, that's going to come out of curiosity. Fear-based leadership, that comes from the leader who needs to be in control over everything. So as a leader, can we just agree to get loosen up a little bit on the how, but really tight on the why? That why, rock solid. That is anchoring everything. And perhaps, just perhaps, this is your season to release and embrace. How does that look for you? Where can you release some control so that you can embrace what's important? Consider the makeup of your school. When you consider that balance and competing priorities, where do you have embedded collaboration time? Where do you have systems of communication in place? Where are you having a conversation face to face instead of just sending an email? We're in a human business. We need to connect face to face. We are not meant to simply receive email after email, task item after task item. So all of that is going to contribute growth. And here's the part we haven't talked about by modeling balance. When we model balance, we are demonstrating psychological safety. We are creating a space where people are safe to show up. They're safe to take care of themselves. They are more honest about their struggles, about the obstacles, because we just connect better as human beings. That is all part of our balance. So as I come to a close, this one is a little bit longer than what I normally do. There's so much we need to talk about with balance. Let's shift away from that traditional cultural mindset that balance means equal. Let's just toss it right away. It's not working for us. And let's shift towards understanding that balance is a community investment. This is about investing in every single human being in our spaces. It isn't selfish. It's necessary. Balance isn't equal. It's quality. Balance is the ability to hold two truths as being honest, as being true at the same time. They appear to be different, but they aren't. That's that emotional maturity. Balance is being present where your feet are and leading from clarity instead of a place of guilt. We know, my vibrant friend, that when adults are well, culture is well. And then when the culture is well, the students are well. It's not negotiable. Balance needs to be non-negotiable in our buildings. So again, be sure to connect with me. Let me know, where in your life have you been focused on equal instead of aligned? Because we need to shift towards that alignment, that vision. Where do you need to be more present where your feet are? Where do you tend to let your mind wander? Oh, I'm just going to check these emails. I'm just going to check these posts, whatever it may be. Where do you need to be more fully present? Be sure to reach out. My email is crystalcoachingconsulting@outlook.com. Reach out to me. Follow the show. Share this. And if you would, leave a rating. That helps push this episode out to other educators. This is the most important job in the world. It's the most rewarding. It is very difficult. It is very complex. The work you do matters. So as you move forward today, just know that you make a difference in the world. So until next week, I'm Crystal Atkinson. I'm your host here on Vibrant Leadership for Educational Leaders. Follow me wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to rate the show and reach out to me, crystalcoachingconsulting@outlook.com. Until next time, bye for now.